So we're back again, the Rantdom podcast, my second guest, and it's brilliant to have him here, back at University of Ulster, or Ulster University.
Ulster University now, they changed its name and everything.
Yeah, I'm speaking to my friend Walid, and we are in a room that we used to use for something called iCafe.
Yeah, back in the day. It was, yeah, I mean, I wish they spent, they sure as hell made it a lot better than the last time, whenever we were all here. It's a lot nicer, and yeah, I wish it was like this when I was here.
It's always the case, isn't it? Like, as soon as you leave, everything improves.
It is, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's hardly going to get worse, is it?
Yeah. But it always seems it gets way better whenever you leave somewhere.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's weird, man. Like, I was on my way up here and I could see, like, some freaking house party was going on in the halls. I'm not going to lie, man, I was so fucking jealous. Like,
yeah. You're probably one of the biggest party people I know.
Yeah, man.
So, like, iCafe was actually the way that I met a bunch of Bavarians and then went to the best party of my life because they used to come to iCafe. I think they used to live near the Shore Road, just off the roundabout.
Oh,
the German
house. I know
house.
who you're talking about. Yeah, they were pretty good crack actually. They were. Some of them had a bit of a screw loose, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah, they're.
I mean, the house was so busy, so full that I couldn't even walk around the house.
Yeah,
that's how busy. That's how mad it was.
I went to the second party. I wasn't there for the first one. I heard the first one was a lot better, but even then, the second one was still pretty fucking sweet.
Because it was one of those parties where the fridge is just an open door policy, and there was beer from the top of the fridge to the bottom of the fridge.
There was a cone in there. I remember last time. It was like a full fucking traffic cone that people were walking around and taking pictures with.
Oh yeah, that's just standard though.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens. I guess I don't know why. Like apparently they all drove to here.
Yeah.
Crazy bastards. German efficiency. Yeah.
It was, and then they were playing. I don't know if you played the card game where the cards are horses, and it's like horse racing with cards. So depending on what card you turn over, it's like your horse will go up 3 if you turn a 3, and then whichever horse gets to the end of the table or whatever you're using for the cards, that person doesn't have to drink, and then the loser has to drink a dirty pint.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty fucking funny, actually. I start using that game from now.
Yeah.
Before I change from Flip Cup, I guess.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things about yourself, Walid, which I always wanted to know, was you've done a bit of competitive kickboxing.
I have.
And things like that. Not many people I know have actually gone into competitive fights for their sport. And I'm just wondering, how do you prepare for a fight?
Well,
what happens?
I mean, I'm not. You're talking to a guy who effectively was still a novice, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So the way I prepared would probably be a hell of a lot different to someone who would have done it a lot more than me. You know. So I mean, the way I prepared at least would have been. I was excited, try to stay calm. It's always difficult to stay calm because at the end of the day you're getting punched in the face, man. Let me tell you, it's not fun when you get hit.
Yeah.
It's really not fun. So, but overall, I mean, I guess you remember that you've gone through all those road runs and everything. Just you sure as hell try to make sure it's worth it.
So, like, you do a little bit of a camp, then?
Yeah, you do. You do your camp. I mean, to be prepared, you have to do your camp. If you don't do your camp, you're gonna fail. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, and then how long would camp be, and how often would you be in the gym?
I mean, the
preparing.
When I went to, there's sometimes you can overdo it. Stephen Connor, my trainer, used to always tell me off for it if you overdo it, because you end up doing all the good work in the gym. If it were up to me, I would have trained 7 days a week because I enjoyed it so much, and I was like, I really thoroughly enjoyed what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just got to put a limit on it. And when I was doing camps, I think they were up to 8 weeks. And the first one, shit, like they're all fucking grim. Like every single week of camp, Like, there's a thing called boot camp.
Yeah.
We used to do. Where
It's just Walid, move forward so that the microphone can pick you up. You're just a bit far away.
oh really?
Yeah, just in case. I know my first podcast, it was noisy as fuck, and it was the most random, rawest thing ever. We had people interrupting, bloody parties going on, making noise over it. So this is actually really quiet compared to the first one.
It's funny how it's quiet when it's me then, eh?
No, I actually think I had to learn from the first one, because the first one, there was parts of it where I think the traffic was probably getting in between the conversation.
Were you
just
doing
the
it
noise.
out in Belfast, were you?
It was in Belfast, and we decided to get drinks on the balcony. So that was probably where it went wrong in the first place. Just the idea of having conversation
I don't imagine that would have ended too well.
on a Friday night like that. Yeah. And the thing about the podcast is I haven't actually explained how I do it or what it's about. None of this is canned. Like, it's all raw. It's just one take.
Shit,
I don't.
man.
It's real shit. Like, I don't edit anything. So, whatever we think about is just, I guess, a natural progression.
Indeed.
Like this has been just a complete diversion from what you were saying. But as you were saying there about the preparation and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, about 8 weeks. I mean, there's a thing we used to have called the boot camp, which was every fucking Tuesday, and that was so shit. Like, you had to...
That sounds
you had
awful.
to do these pyramid sprints, I remember. It was fucking awful. Like, I mean, I remember one time I had to do it, and it was cold, and it was miserable, and there was a kid I used to train with called Tyler Quinn.
Yeah.
Who was... my God, like, he was a fucking... Like, he was just a kid, like, but, I think he's a strong boy, but you can always tell he's going to be quite strong, and, like, he was, like, a rugby player as well, so he's fucking fit, like. And, like, me and him used to have to go up against each other, and he was so fast off. Like, I remember I was getting the better of him quite a lot. I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, I mean, he was just a kid. We were around about the same weight, same height, but I think he was naturally faster than me, but I think if we were to run now, he'd 100% beat me. But I mean, he's just I don't know. I suppose when you're a little bit older than someone, your body just has more endurance.
Especially the younger you are, if you're a little bit older than someone, you've got that extra year or two of physical development.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But I think they were a bit harsh on Tyler somewhat. Sometimes they were like, oh, like, you're really young, and Walid's, in his 20s, but he's beating you in running, which is fair enough. Like, I was pretty fucking pleased about that. But Tyler was a good kid. But anyway, like, I used to always, I was getting the better of him quite a bit, because he'd always start really, really fast. And it was a nightmare trying to catch up with him. But
this
eventually,
guy was your sparring partner.
He wasn't my sparring partner. I'd have loved to spar him, but for some reason we never did spar. But he was he was like my running partner, shall we say?
Right. Okay.
And he was, like, always off the mark quite quickly. And I remember one week I got the better of him quite badly. And, like, I mean, I was really far ahead of him in the running, and I remember coming in the following week thinking, right, like, that's it, because it was cold and it was miserable. I was like, right, let's just, completely wrong attitude. I was like, right, I'm going to hammer this guy. But I don't know, I'm assuming Ian Mahood, who was his trainer, like, kind of personal trainer, he lives with, I think he's seeing his mum or whatever, but anyway, he must have had a pep talk with him.
Right.
And no joke,
the mental edge came in.
I've never seen Tyler off the block so fast. I was like, what the fuck? But then it made me, like, have to push up even more, which is what you want. And I tell you what, the times we were doing were good times, and of course I won the running. But I think as a fighter, I think Tyler's a good fighter.
That's what's interesting about jiu-jitsu for me, because as you were saying, like, you may have had 2 years of experience in Tyler, just maybe physical development, or maybe he had 2 years less wear and tear than you did.
More than 2 years, I think. I can't remember how old Tyler is, but he's definitely in his teens, and I was in my 20s. So.
Because I know Joe Rogan was saying about the jiu-jitsu people that it attracts a certain type of a person, because you don't necessarily have to be the biggest person if you know how to submit and grapple people and do the arm locks and leg locks. And it's interesting because once somebody is on the ground, then you've taken away a lot of their core strength, because they need the floor to build up power, basically, for
go.
punches and stuff. So once they're on the floor, you reduce the
immobilize
angles.
them.
Yeah, you immobilize them, and you can tie them up, and you could be like a relatively skinny, short person, but if you know what you're doing, you can actually control somebody a lot bigger than you on the ground with good technique.
Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, people think, oh, he's big, he can fight, but I mean, if he doesn't know how to fight and you put him in there with someone who can't fight, it's like someone who can't swim. You know, and then they start to panic. So
you reckon it's that big of an advantage?
I really do, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's that significant, you know, because, you know, the guy who's trained, he's going to be sharper than someone who's not trained. He's going to know. He's also got that mental edge.
Yeah.
That he knows he can handle himself, whereas the other one thinks they can handle himself. Yeah, they're seeing and believing kind of thing. I think that's what it's about. And I think it's a world of a difference. I think if someone who's trained could, you know, hand someone who isn't trained their ass on a plate, I wholeheartedly believe that.
And this brings us on to Conor and Khabib. You know, that lined up quite well for Conor and Khabib. What do you make of that fight? What happened?
Listen, the spectacle was great. I think you know, the way it was a coming together of the two biggest stars in MMA, I think.
Yeah.
What happened after it was a disgrace, but like,
I agree.
Yeah. During the fight, though, I thought Khabib was very, very good, and Conor was very, very bad. That was the worst I've seen of Conor McGregor. If you watch the footage of before they were coming into for the fight, the McGregor that I know, he's, you know, waving his Irish flag. He's pumped up. He's like, all right, let's go. Yeah. Like, kind of like he did with the Jose Aldo fight. You know, he came in.
When he knocked him out.
Yeah, but like when you look at McGregor, like he wanted to be there. Like he was thriving in it. Like he was really, really enjoying it. But this one, it just looked like he was just, all right, let's get it over with. I didn't see, and I don't know what was going on beforehand. It certainly wasn't the Conor that I know. Khabib. Yeah. He showed up, man. Like, he was fucking ready to go. He's shadow boxing.
And like, do you reckon that's down to Khabib being fueled by the trash talk, all of the stuff about him?
You could say that, but I mean, there was obviously an element of control there too, because you know, Conor has done that with people where he's pissed them off to the point where they just swing for him. I mean, look at that's what happened. That's why Aldo got knocked out effectively.
Yeah.
He pissed him off, and then Aldo came out swinging, and Conor connected with the left hook, put him to sleep.
Yeah.
So you could say that it was fuel, but I think Khabib was also quite composed.
Those two things that I think caught me about that fight. One of them was how Khabib dominated Conor so
easily,
ruthlessly, and actually made him look like an amateur. I mean, if I
he's
didn't,
an amateur on the ground, that's for sure. I mean, at least at that at that level, he got badly exposed.
He got found out. I mean, he looked like he wasn't a professional fighter.
The thing for me, right, was that
it was shocking.
What was really shocking, like, we all knew Khabib was better than him on the ground. Like, that was no secret.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't take a brainiac to realize that. But what struck me was Conor's stand-up was woeful. Like, I'm sorry, but, you know...
Or maybe Khabib's was just better than it was previously.
Wasn't, though? Like, at the end of the day, right, is that Khabib's groundwork was basically Conor's stand-up, if you put the equivalent of it. Because Khabib's stand-up is shocking. Like, if you look at even the Edson Barbosa fight, he was standing, was all wrong. He's off balance. He's standing completely square. Someone like Conor McGregor, who's an elite striker, should be picking him apart, and he wasn't, because he was just slow. And that's why he got caught with that right hook, which, by the way, was a fucking beauty from Khabib. But,
Conor actually read what he had to say after the fight, and he said after that punch, he caught me. He said it was a lucky punch. I don't think it was that lucky, but he caught me, and that's what changed it, because he was surprised by the punch, and he knows the momentum then swung into
in the second round. That second round, that right hook changed because once that right hook landed, Conor found, and Khabib as well, Conor found out that he's not the only puncher in there. You know, that's what he discovered. He thought going in there that Khabib couldn't knock him out. He thought he could just walk through anything. And when that right hook I mean, at the end of the day, these are 4 ounce gloves.
Yeah.
I think that's what he discovered. Listen, I don't know, because at the end of the day, I'm not in Conor's head. But I think one thing for sure, when he connected to that right hook, he found out, if he didn't know then, he definitely, well, if he didn't know before, he definitely knew now anyway.
Yeah, this is going to be one night to forget.
This guy can hit.
Yeah.
Listen, he was off balance as well when Conor was swinging, because if you look at it, Conor's foot was in the air when Khabib landed that strike, which in a way might have actually helped him.
I actually think I could see the brain trauma when it hit him.
I tell you what, because if his legs were stood in the ground, he could have probably felt the full impact of it. But because his leg was off the ground and his momentum was throwing a punch, I think, at the same time, it almost was a shove as well as a punch, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's a fucking beauty. Like, listen, Conor's got some chin for taking it.
And onto the other bit, like after the match, like Khabib jumping out of the cage, the octagon.
I mean, the whole thing was a fucking disgrace, to be honest with you.
He should have just left it. Even if he didn't want to leave it, he should have choked out Conor for an extra 15 seconds. If he had the point to prove, do that to Conor, not attack someone who's in the audience.
If he does that, though, you know, there's a chance that the Nevada State Athletic Commission can get involved and they can ban him for us. Like, it's the equivalent of if you think of a boxer knocking out another boxer, but then jumps on top of him and starts like punching him. Yeah. Like, first of all, you'll get disqualified. That's the first thing. And second of all, this goes beyond the UFC. This ends up going to the Nevada State Athletic Commission or whatever. They can choose to ban you for however long. People have been banned for life over that shit. You know, people attacking referees and stuff. So I think,
but like jumping out of the octagon meant that he risked his entry into the US from Russia.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot for going on. That. Having said that, though,
I knew Conor wouldn't press charges, obviously, because he's not going to press charges because he's got the perfect venue and job to sort out.
Conor, to be fair to him, stuff. Right, he seems to be a kind of guy that lives by the sword, die by the sword kind of thing. He what he dishes out, he'll sure as hell looks like the kind of guy that would take. Like, I don't think he's the kind of guy that
he can take a punch. Like if you can chuck it, you got to be able to catch it.
Yeah,
right?
I think like he gives a lot of shit to people, but I think whenever the time's for them to give him shit back, I think he's sort of the guy that will take it. And I think Dylan Dennis is obviously talking a lot of smack to Khabib, so Khabib jumped over the fence and it all just kicked off. But like,
and then somebody attacked Conor from behind.
Yeah, that was too far. Like, who was the piece of shit that did that? I don't know his name.
Punched in the back of the head. Yeah, it was one of Khabib's camp, obviously.
What a fucking wanker. And then he decided to boast about it on social media, and you're kind of just sitting there like you really are a backward scumbag. Like, I don't care what it's fucking Russians, a reprobate. Mate.
Yeah.
Russians.
I think Khabib, if Khabib had just ended the fight when he'd won it by the submission and walked out of the ring, I would have far more. I'd like him a lot more. I'd have far more respect for him, and also I think Conor would have also not, leave somebody with a bit of dignity intact. I think Conor came out of that. He's a warrior. Conor's a warrior, and he would always keep his chin up no matter what happens. But he was really badly humiliated.
Yeah, especially in the stand-up. Like, the stand-up, I thought wasn't good enough at all. He was getting tagged, and then Khabib stood in front of him and said, "What have you got?" And to be honest with you, I think Khabib came out of that fight unscathed. He really, really did.
He came out looking as if he'd just done a bit of heavy sparring or something. He looked still fresh.
I thought that was the worst Conor McGregor performance I've ever seen. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was in his mind. He obviously, mentally, I don't think he's. He says he's still sad.
He wants a rematch. I like that. I like what he said.
Too, but the point I'm making is
he ain't getting one though, because
I'd love him to get one actually. I'd love him to get one because he actually shows up. Like, unlike Tony Ferguson talks a lot of crap. Tony Ferguson's a fucking good fighter, but he's He's literally like, I mean, this will be the 5th time I think they're going to try and book that fight if that happens. I mean, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, a friend of mine was saying that one wasn't meant to happen. The MMA gods have banned that from happening. The Tony Ferguson,
Which is a pity, but I think
McGregor fight,
you know what the funny thing is. I actually think that that's a rock paper scissors. Tony Ferguson, Khabib, and McGregor. I think is a rock paper scissors.
Right. Okay. Who's the rock? Who's the paper? Who's the scissors?
Tony beats Khabib. Khabib beats Conor. Conor beats Tony.
Oh, that'll be
That's
interesting. That's interesting.
It's like a triangle because if you look at it, Tony is made for McGregor. He really, really is.
Right. Okay.
Just like Khabib, I think would be because Tony has decent ground game. He can definitely hang in there, and he puts the pressure on.
Mm-hmm.
And but I just think Tony will try and stand with Conor, and I think Conor will just pick him apart.
Okay, just on the last point on this, because I know there's a lot of other podcasts for MMA, like co-main event and stuff like that. Yeah. I was going to say, with Conor's reaction, and especially Sean Kavanagh's reaction, I think that was
John.
I think that was just beautiful, because John Kavanagh was like magnanimous in defeat. It was just
John Kavanagh is a good lad. He's a good lad.
His attitude and his you can see the training and the how professional he takes his coaching of Conor, and also just himself, like how he represents himself. He is one of the people that I follow and have read a bit about SPG Gym.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you couldn't have handled it. He couldn't have responded in a more...
Yeah, John Kavanagh is a gentleman. He really is. He's a good lad, I think. I think he needs to control Conor a bit better, though. During these camps, fuck all these whiskey promotions and shit. Do that whenever you've retired, man. Like, why the hell are you doing it now? You know? Like, he's getting involved in businesses, and which is great, like, don't get me wrong, it's fantastic, but, you know, you're fighting fucking Khabib. He's a fucking savage, you know, you gotta have your man. Like,
the bear wrestler.
The McGregor, I want to say, is the McGregor who fought Diaz the second time. The one who literally went to camp in Iceland and focused so hard on the fight. Like, did no promotions, fuck all that shit. You know, that's the McGregor I want to see. I don't want to see him, I don't want to see Conor doing friggin' whiskey. Like, do that after the fight.
That's right.
Don't do it friggin' during the camp. Like, you're just asking
Who was he in camp with in Iceland? He's with one of the Icelandic.
Nelson.
Yeah.
Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson's a good fighter.
Yeah, that's right, because there's a lot of
Gunnar Nelson to win the welterweight belt. I'd have fucking loved that. I like Gunnar Nelson. He's a good lad.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that Conor went to Iceland to do those camps. I guess it's the perfect place. You're kind of it's that kind of environment where you're isolated. You are in somewhere entirely different from home, and it's cold. So you want to.
Do you know what I'd love?
Keep warm. You want to move about.
I'd love Conor to have a rematch with Khabib in Russia.
Yeah, in Dagestan.
I'd love that. I'd love UFC Moscow or something. You know,
that would be
McGregor versus
chaos.
Khabib. That would be lethal. The problem is these Russian fans can be like hooligans, though.
Yeah.
That's where you have to worry, because they're fucking backwards. Some of them, let me tell you, like, they're crazy.
I think for the World Cup, Russia did a great job this year of hosting it and it passing off without incident.
They've done a fantastic. Oh, I'm sure there was incidents. They just didn't tell you.
Yeah,
But having said that, I think the Russians did a very good job of it. To be honest, a lot of it
surprisingly good, right?
Yeah, because their behaviour in the European Championships is a fucking disgrace. To be honest, we had to strip the World Cup from them. I really would have.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on stripping people from World Cups, because how Qatar are allowed to have a fucking World Cup pisses me off to this day. Oh, it really angers me.
2 words: Sepp Blatter.
Dickhead. Absolutely, he's a right twat. He's a fucking dickhead.
Andrew Jennings.
If you consider, right, the amount that, like, first of all, people have died building these stadiums because of the shit working environments you have in Qatar, right? These Middle Eastern countries, they're fucking backwards when it comes to this shit, right?
Yeah.
He is so, the people have died building these stadiums.
Yeah.
And it's like they've just forgotten about it. Mate, that blood is on your hands. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's just oil money, and there's plenty of it, and
the
there
World
isn't
Cup,
very
isn't the
many.
World Cup final being held in like a city? Like, forget the friggin' stadium, right? This is supposed to be held in a city that hasn't even been built yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually have not looked into it. I have not checked it out. I think I'm looking forward to the
swear
Japan
to God,
Olympics.
mate, like from what I think it's the stadium or the city. I don't know. It's like if you look at it, right, they were competing with Australia. They were competing with. I can't remember if England was going for 2018 or 22. Either way, Qatar should have never got it. I mean, there was Australia, USA, England, I think we're on for.
Yeah, joint bid with Britain and Ireland.
And then you give it to fucking Qatar.
Oh,
like,
man.
Mate, they don't even know what football is. If you watch the league over there, right? Like, because they're like, who was it? I think that their own president doesn't even understand the fucking rules. When they actually won the thing, he was like, "Oh, sweet, I'm gonna start watching a game or two." So I start learning the rules, and you're like, "Mate, you gave the World Cup the biggest prize to all."
It's the biggest sporting event in the world.
The biggest sporting event in the world, and you give it to these pricks. Like, I'm sorry, what?
And speaking of like shock decisions and sporting occasions, I think when Spain played Russia this year in the World Cup, and Russia bet them, I don't think it's because Russia was a better team. I actually think Spain were afraid to win the match in Russia. I think the players were afraid to play. I think they were intimidated by the fucking fans.
You're entitled to believe that, but I just thought that I thought Spain looked. Spain, obviously, like the Spain before the World Cup were flashy. They were superb. I don't know if you watched the game against Italy when they played them. They beat them 3-0. Isco was.
Oh, was that the friendly?
It was the World Cup qualifiers.
Okay.
Was fucking super. Having said that, Italy were shocking under Ventura. He was fucking useless as an Italian manager. But we'll not go there for now.
Right. Okay.
The Spaniards were like they were well drilled. They played brilliant football, and then they sacked their manager 2 days before the game. And I think it just completely had a massive knock-on effect because the way they play. I mean, if you look at it, right? Okay, they were playing in Russia, but like if you look at the players who are playing for that team, they've got players from Barcelona, Real Madrid, Valencia, Sevilla. You know, these are all the top teams in Spanish football and the world.
Yeah.
To tell me like, they got intimidated by an atmosphere. If they did, then they shouldn't even be footballers.
I think it's one of those things you can't really prepare for it. It's like I was listening to a thing with Dan Pena, $15 billion man, and this guy was a former army person, and he did all the training. He was in the army, but he never got any time on the field, right? So the US were in Vietnam at the time, and he wasn't drafted to go out for whatever reason. He didn't end up going out, and he was an officer. He wasn't even a private. And so he didn't get trigger time. And because he didn't get trigger time, as he said that he took up hunting to replace that because he wanted to know in the heat of it if he had the nuts to kill an animal,
take a life.
or defend his life. Depends how you look at it. But he basically put himself in. He went to Alaska, northeast Alaska, and went out for bears. So that was a thing where he had to empty a whole magazine into a bear, and the bear was still coming at him, and he had a knife on him, and he actually had 2 knees crushed, and he had to get a hip replacement after it because the bear mauled him.
Good.
But
fucking dickhead.
Yeah, but this
innocent bears. But go on.
Yeah, but this is it. Like he said, if he didn't do that ridiculous thing, he wouldn't have known if he had the nuts in the actual life situation to take action is what he says, to take action. Like, and now he's gone into business. It's different.
I mean, like fair enough, but still, I think he's a piece of shit for attacking a bear. Because that bear effectively is defending him. So that bear hasn't done anything to you. The fuck are you going after that bear for?
No,
you know?
No. That's why, like, when you think about the disaster that happened to Steve Irwin when he got killed by the stingray.
That's totally different.
He wasn't hunting, right?
Yeah.
He was just trying to get a documentary together on the habitats of manta rays, stingrays, whatever they are.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting a barb through his chest.
Yeah, I think Steve Irwin was never really. He was a good man, like, but he never really. I don't think he. I think he had an aura about him where I think he was starting to think he was a bit invincible.
Right. Okay.
And
yeah.
it caught up with him eventually.
Okay.
Like it was inevitable that one day it was going to catch up with him, and it did. You know, we all thought it was going to be a crocodile.
Yeah, we all thought because he was a crocodile Dundee archetype.
That was the one we all thought it was going to be. Like he was going to get mauled by one day. I didn't think it'd be a stingray, but I mean, if you think about it, there's a video of him holding a friggin' snake, and that like wild fucking thing, and it takes a bite out of like goes for his eye.
Yeah.
And you're sort of sitting there being like, mate, like it's going to catch up with you. Like he had like an aura by him. It's starting to think.
It's percentages, isn't it? It's a statistical game. Like probability is. You're gonna meet a boa constrictor that's gonna
like he eventually it caught up with him. Listen, I mean, he was I can't say anything bad about Steve Irwin. All I'm saying is
he's dead now, so he can't respond.
I can't say anything bad about him. But the way he was coming across was almost like he had an aura where he thought he was invincible. You know that, and eventually it unfortunately caught up with him because truth be told, he was a good man to animals. He was very, very helpful towards them.
Yeah.
So the world lost a good man in Steve Irwin, but for me it could have been avoided if he just had a wee bit more respect, I guess, for his environment.
I just think a little bit of fear because, like Achilles, you know that movie Troy with Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah, I've never watched it, but I know about it.
Okay, it's
there's a saying in that.
Yeah, fear is good. He says fear is what keeps you alive and stops you from doing stupid acts.
Yeah.
And that's why Achilles was being like counseled by one of the other generals, and he was saying, Achilles, your problem is you don't have any fear because you do things that don't make sense, and you could survive a lot longer if you just took that into consideration. But last point, because it's hit around 30 minutes, and I don't want to waste your time. I was going to say about Trump. We got to talk about Trump. We always talk about Trump. Whenever we meet up, we talk about Trump.
Donald, what's the crack with Donald?
Yeah, so I was going to say, like, what do you think about him and why?
Honestly, mate, like, I haven't followed American politics. For all I know, like, he could be doing what Obama's doing. I don't really want to know. I think everything Trump does is under a microscope. It's all magnified. It really, really is. I don't know. I don't think I'm educated enough to make a decision as to how well he's running the country. I don't know if unemployment's gone down. I don't know if prices have gone up. I don't know. So I don't really have an opinion on it. What I will
That's kind of cool.
though,
you don't know the facts, so you don't have an opinion yet until you get your facts.
I don't really want to badmouth a guy if I don't know anything about it. But what I will say though is that just from
you can have an opinion if you want to have one.
He's a friggin' buffoon, though. Like, the shit he comes off with, sometimes you're just... Yeah, I mean, honestly, sometimes, like, his supporters especially, like, some of them are right turkeys. That you sit there and you listen to them, it's like, I respect all religions. It's like, oh, really? Okay, so you like Christianity? Yeah. Do you like Judaism? Yeah. Do you like Islam? No. But you're like, what?
Yeah, he contradicts himself.
Yeah, or like it's just his supporters, man. Like there's another one as well. I remember watching when they were, what the fuck happened? Like they, shit. Like I had.
Was it about the wall, something like that?
Some heaven knows, man. Like
was it when he went to Israel? He moved the embassy of Israel to Jerusalem. Fucking.
But didn't Obama do
Tel
that
Aviv.
too, or some shit like that? I know. Like that's what I mean. I don't want to badmouth him if like Obama's been doing the same. I'm just talking about specifically just how stupid his supporters are.
All right. Okay. So your beef is more with the people who vote for him.
No, yeah, 100%. Like they're fucking stupid. Like I mean.
You know what? I think the bigger picture is we're going to move into a globe and a civilization that's just a plutocracy. We already have it. We're going to have one global currency in 100 years. That's my prediction,
it's
or
not
less.
What the European Union's all about.
Yeah, well, this is it. Like, we think that Brexit's going to stop the reality of an interconnected global economy from...
I mean, for me, the European Union are a bunch of capitalists. At the end of the day, it is basically the United States of Europe.
The politics will be capitalism.
Having said that, though, I think it's impossible to do what it was usually like one whole globe with one.
Well, I think we're gonna have one currency, and we're not gonna be run by politicians as such. It's gonna be more people like Trump. It's gonna be people who understand money. People who know how to make economies grow, how to make people wealthy, how to create jobs, and it's not going to be so much on the kind of like, they are on the left and so is on the right. It's going to be.
I personally think, man, like if you went down that route, I mean, could you imagine telling a bunch of North Koreans that they're going to have the same currency and all the same rules and this all? As
I'm telling you, like Kim Jong-un is a big fan of NBA. I think he's a big
fan of NBA. It doesn't mean he's a big fan of the American system.
I mean, he and like the people, the top 1% or whoever he runs North Korea with, live Western lifestyles. They have all the comforts that we have.
He doesn't want those people having that, does he?
No. But it's going to be harder and harder for him to keep on saying that North Korea have won the World Cup again.
Yeah, well,
when the media...
Listen, Kim Jong-un's a fucking crazy bastard, to be honest with you. Like, he's a fucking bellend. I mean, I'll probably have a hit on me in North Korea somewhere if he ever gets a hold of this podcast. But I don't know, Kim, if you're listening, you're a prick.
And don't forget Putin. Add in Putin as well.
Putin, you're a wanker as well. Putin, see, he's a bit more... Putin's a wanker as well, don't get me wrong, but... There's going to
be a blood feud on your life now.
He's a hell of a lot more smarter than that fucking donkey Kim Jong-un. Like, he's full of shit. Like, he's a fucking bellend.
Okay.
And listen, I think to be fair to him, I think he did a good thing by having peace talks with South Korea. And they were like shaking hands with the South Korean Prime Minister and whatnot.
Oh man, I mean the South Koreans and the Russians, they're reading from the same hymn book.
Yeah,
they're on the same wavelength.
That was good, in a sense. It was nice to see, Kim Jong Un bring some good press for a change. Because for the last I don't know how many years he's been in power, all he's been talking about is nuking people. Fucking idiot.
Yeah. I think Kim Jong Un is probably the epitome of what it must be to be a completely out of touch with everything around you and not give a shit.
Sounds like the Tory government.
All right, okay. On that bombshell, I'm going to ask you for your 3 favorite songs or your 3 songs that you play for desert island discs. So you're stuck on
a desert island.
Yeah, you're stuck on the Maldives whilst it's sinking beneath the sea because sea levels are rising.
See that, I suppose I could probably think of 3 songs, but I mean, if I'm in that environment, what's that song? Oh shit, man, you're gonna have to find something that'll fucking cheer you up. Have you ever had a song like "Be Happy"? But it's not by Bob Marley. It's like "Don't Worry."
Oh right, yeah. Okay.
Like
it's like Bill Withers, but it's not Bill Withers.
I tell you, I'd fucking listen to that shit. Like, if I was like, I'd literally have to have something that would cheer me up.
Okay, some bit of Sunshine Calypso.
Yeah.
Track 2.
I suppose track 2, something to cheer me up in that environment. It has to be happy music, man, isn't it?
No, don't keep it too happy. I mean, if you want to be listening to Slayer or Megadeth, then...
I'll tell you what, though, I'd probably listen to Rata Manhattan by Sepultura.
Right, that sounds like a class.
That shit makes you feel like you're out in the jungle with calling out a Brazilian tribe you've heard before. Rantdom Manhattan. It's like, see, Sepultura is like a heavy metal band. I do like my heavy metal, but this is like a different kind of metal. Like it's this song especially. It's like a tribe playing fucking music, and it's fucking good.
It's hardcore.
It's good, man. I mean,
it's thrash metal, is it? Yeah, is it thrash metal?
It's fucking good, man. I'll tell you what, I'll definitely play it for you.
Yeah, send me a few links of their tunes.
So that would feel like you're writing a wildlife by playing that. A 3rd song.
Yeah.
I do like Fight Star, so I'm gonna go Mercury Summer by Fight Star.
Right. Okay. I will check it out and I'll add them in there, mate. Yeah. It's been a pleasure. Welcome back from Bristol.
Thank you very much.
As I said when we met up earlier on the weekend.
Yeah.
Bristol FC fan.
Bristol
Till
City,
you
man.
die, till you die.
Bristol City. I'm an adopted Robin now.
All right. Well, it's the same as red and white as your usual team, Liverpool. So
Indeed,
I actually thought it was a Liverpool scarf when I first saw
it's a
you, until
Bristol
I
City,
realised you've gotten indoctrinated.
Yeah, indeed, man.
Join the cult. Right.
Man, keep her lit.
Thanking you.
You have been listening to the Rantdom podcast. The rant's over now. Thanks, listeners.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. In every life we have some trouble, but when you worry you make it double. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy now. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Ain't got no place to lay your head. Somebody came and took your bed. Don't worry. Be happy. The landlord say your rent is late. He may have to litigate. But don't worry. Be happy. Look at me, I'm happy. Don't worry. Be happy. I give you my phone number. When you worry, call me. I make you happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Ain't got no cash, ain't got no style, ain't got no gal to make you smile. But don't worry, be happy. Cause when you worry, your face will frown, and that will bring everybody down. So don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy now. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, don't do it. Be happy. Put a smile on your face. Don't bring everybody down like this. Don't worry. It will soon pass, whatever it is. Don't worry, be happy.
Cool. So, yeah, we had a single out about 3 weeks ago. It's a track called Mercury Summer. And it goes something like this. see what we left behind. Wait till the sound of drums, and we are the soldiers of our own events. We are the keys to the kingdom. We will never walk those again. You get up, move around every time you hear a sound. What do you expect to see every time you look at me? I know this. It's gonna be alright. My dream is alright. In the afternoon, I hope you come back soon. My dream is alright. Just take your time. I hope to see you go. So how can you fall asleep so close to the fire that is keeping us warm, sleeping out in the rough? Just let me know when you had enough. You get up, move around every time you hear the sound. What do you expect to see every time you look at me? I know this. If you're, it's gonna be alright. My dream is alright. In the afternoon, I hope you come back soon. My dream is alright. Just take your time. I hope to see you go. My dream is alright. In the afternoon, I hope you come back soon. My dream is alright. Just take your time. I hope to see you go. My dream is alright. In the afternoon, I hope you come back. My dream is alright. Take your time. I hope to see you soon. My dream is alright. In the afternoon, I hope you come back soon. My dream is alright. Just take your time. I hope to see you. Thank you.